just want to thank you for taking the time to come in, and we'll talk about, you know, how to be your best president, how to get the most out of it for you and for your club, because you're one of the most important people in your club. Now, don't act like that, but it is true, okay?
No, the treasurer.
I think the treasurer's the hardest to do, so I can't argue with that. So I've been in Soroptimist since 1987, we just looked it up. So since the last century. And I was president, let's see, I'd been in the club like 2 or 3 years, and so I said I'd be President-Elect. But my friend who was the president got a new job at a different bank in a different town, and she could not come for her year. So she did some of the paperwork in the background, and I did the job. And then I did my year. And then when we started American River, I was a charter president there, because I had a little experience and a lot of the charter members had none. And most recently after COVID, which I'm sure you guys have experienced some of the effects that we had, and that was that a lot of our members didn't know what being a president looked like, because we weren't together for 2 years. So the people like Karen, who's our current president, who really was ready a couple years ago, or would have been if we had been there, she wanted to wait. So Cheryl and I said, okay, we'll take care of 2 years, but we better get some, you know, buy-in after that, and we have. So we have no more problem getting new presidents, and it's a wonderful thing. But I have found from talking to people that it seems like it's in the first 5 years of your membership you become president. So let's test this theory. Who became president for their first time within 5 years of joining? Wow, see? So you gotta know a little bit, but not too much. And so we're here to fill in the blanks. Although, as I've always said, when you're in Soroptimist, if you're not doing something right, or if you forgot something, you're gonna get a little note, you know, from one of those longtime members. And gosh, aren't they wonderful to do those little notes for you? And keep you going the way that you should be going. And sometimes it's not true or not right or not how we do it now, but you know, we're gonna listen to them carefully. So the role of the president is to give you tools to be an effective president. That's outlining what it is that you do, encouraging you to keep in mind the influence that you have as the president, which is substantial and goes outside your club into your community. This is your opportunity to gain some notoriety and also bring that back to your club. So anything that would be good for you and your business and your club, it's good for everybody. So I want you to not be thinking, oh, I'm going to be a prima donna by writing up various things about Soroptimist and getting them in the paper and putting a picture of myself every time I go to a nursing home or a, you know, an educational event. That's what you should do. Bring as many of your sisters into the pictures. That's one thing I think Cheryl was really excellent at. We were in the paper constantly, and that is important. And we want you to not be so nervous, because it, you know, it's not like treasurer where you actually have to know what you're doing. Up front, you can learn it as you go. So the main thing, the big thing that you've got is you're the president, she who presides. And presiding is one of your major functions. And that is when there is a meeting, a business meeting, or any kind of meeting, when you're attending classes or things in the community, you're representing the group and maybe leading all the meetings. Now it's your job to make sure as many members as possible participate in that meeting. So you are presiding, but you're not going to do the flag salute. You're not going to do the thought for the day. You're not going to give the treasurer's report. You're not going to give the 4 pillars reports. So you're bringing all those people in at the meeting, giving them that experience of talking about what they're doing, giving people a chance to give them feedback. So it's really important to remember that is your one and only job, is to be the president. So don't say, oh, I can be the president and the head of program. Not gonna work. You need to be sitting kind of above it, all so that you can see it all. Now, as you know, presidents are ex facto members of all committees. So you need to remind your members up front right away, if there is a committee meeting with your club, president and president-elect should be invited. Now, they can choose to come or not come, but what I would suggest to you is if you have a co-president or a president-elect, is that you take the 4 or 5 main committees that we have. We have the 4 pillars, but often we have, like in our case, the bling. That's yet another big committee. Split those up with your president-elect so that you can be consistent. If you're in program, you're gonna be visiting mainly the program committee and you're gonna stay with them. And your job being there is to try not to contribute a lot, but just to make sure everything's on track. If you're with the program committee, you need to make sure that they've got certain dates. A date for the awards banquet, a date for this, a date for that. So you're kind of there, but you should stay behind and let that committee chair be in charge. I think it's the best way to do it. So fiscal responsibilities, you have some of those too. And you need to look at your budget regularly. Just whenever your board meeting is gonna get together, of course you've got your reports. Take a peeky at those. You may be one of the few people that can actually knows what we had in mind when we did that actual budget. Everybody has different levels of looking at reports. And it took me a long time to make a spreadsheet into something that I understood and to understand the budgeting process. So you're in charge of that. You're gonna review it regularly. If there's too much money there, you're gonna get to the program committee. Let's move some money over there, let them spend it. So you're supposed to also have knowledge of your club bylaws, the region bylaws, and the SIA bylaws, all which are available on the websites. Just not because I am a member of SNR, but honestly, our website is the bomb. And even if you're looking for something that is from Soroptimist International of the Americas, you might well find it a lot easier on the SoroptimistSNR.org website. So just keep that in mind if you have a little trouble. But if you need SIA and you can't figure it out, call them, email them. We've got a staff there and they are very nice. And they will get back to you and help you out. As the things have been changed, I've had to contact them a couple times. I can't find my form. Where'd you put it? Or they'll send me a link. So that's a really good thing too. So just take a few minutes and take a look at these different bylaws and make sure that you and your club are like doing what you're supposed to do. If you don't match your own bylaws, then you're gonna have to get a committee together and get them changed. There's bylaws, there's standing rules. Our club doesn't seem to have any standing rules, but they're handy. Standing rules are easier to change than bylaws. Bylaws take a couple of months to change. You've got to get them out there. You've got to do all these various things. So, but just keep track of that kind of stuff, because if your bylaws say that you meet 4 times a month and you're actually meeting 2, it's probably time to make a switch. Set an example, keep track of things, make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. Be a representative of your club to visitors. Now, I find that as a president, you're often too busy at the beginning of the meeting to actually be watching the door and finding people. So I suggest someone from membership be in charge of grabbing guests and introducing them to you. So they're going to hostess that guest through our meeting, but they are going to get a chance to talk to the president and say hello to the president. you set the tone for your club. If you're positive and have a positive outlook, chances are the club's just gonna go your way. Keep in mind you're a sounding board for members. Okay, people are gonna come to you with gossip or worse, real problems. And you're there to listen, because if they can't talk to you, who can they talk to? Now, it may be that you're not gonna take any action on it. Maybe you are. But just keep in mind, even though it's super uncomfortable, you're the one. So just keep that in mind. You've got to practice the art of delegation. As I said, you should not have a job. Yes?
Just with the, have the members come to the president with complaints and grievances. We were this year focusing on using our delegates and director delegates as kind of the first front. Because I read it somewhere in bylaws where it said that. So are you suggesting for them to come straight to the president or to utilize our?
No, I'm suggesting that they often will come straight to the president.
Yes.
How your club handles stuff is your club, the way it handles.
Right.
But I don't care what the club says, a lot of people are gonna call the president.
Yeah.
Hey, I was really uncomfortable with that meeting, we were gonna do something that I don't think is in our bylaws, or whatever it happens to be. So, you're gonna do it. So when you delegate, what do? You delegate, you make sure there's someone to show them what they're supposed to do, and then you check in once in a while and make sure everything's going. That provides the training and the mentorship for our future. Because, just starting someone out as a club hostess, whatever it happens to be, that check-in person, that's training for president later, and you will need presidents later, because you're not gonna do it forever. So, planning, I'm big on planning as far as meetings go. So as a president, you probably have already, unless you were dark this summer, you've probably already put together your master calendar. So what should go on that master calendar? SDR, the conference, the SIA convention, and if there's an international convention, stick that in there. So those are important. District meetings, thank you. Gosh, how could I forget something so important? Is our upcoming meetings, those are training meetings. And so have as many of your club members there as possible, and they will get all the deadlines and all the forms and some help filling them out. So those meetings are super important. They're all held just in your local area. The District 4 meeting will be in 4, yours will be where you belong. So they're easy to get to, they're inexpensive, you're just buying lunch. So I think that needs to go on, thank you very much. And there's only one of those a year. And those are in September and October, and the dates are already set. So you can take a look at all of our region stuff, our region calendar. Then take a look at your major fundraiser. You probably have a date for that. Grab a meeting before that fundraiser, maybe 2. Maybe you need one 3 months ahead and one the week before your big fundraiser. So grab those meetings, write that in. Your awards banquet, your Christmas party, all the things that you regularly do. Then you go to your committee heads, your 4 chairs, your program, and you assign them some meetings. First, check and see if there's an important meeting to them. We like to really celebrate Denim Day. That's on our calendar, that's something that we do. Whatever that happens to be for you and your club, take a look at last year's calendar and the year before, and that should just really do it for you.
What's Denim's Day? What is Denim's Day?
Denim Day is it's actually an international thing. At one time in Italy, a woman charged that she had been raped, and the judge let the guy off because he said, how could she get your blue jeans down? How could he rape you when you're wearing blue jeans? Well, needless to say, the women were. So they started wearing denim in business, and, you know, they made quite a fuss over it. And now internationally, we all wear denim one day of the year to remember that's happened, and look at how far we've come, and look at what's still happening. So on your club meetings, who meets for every week? Okay, wow, that's still a lot of people meeting every week. Who's twice a month? Probably a few more on that. And is there any other? 3 times. 3 times. Okay, is that include your board meeting? Okay, so then people are doing 4 times.
I guess.
Yeah, yeah, because you got your 2 meetings, like our club meets twice, but then there's a board meeting and half the people in the club are in the board, right? Then there's committee meetings. So, you know, think about your members when you're thinking about how many meetings you are doing. And I'm hoping that these every week clubs put their committee meetings in a club meeting. Do you do any of that?
We do the fourth Wednesday of every month is for committees to meet, but the first Wednesday is business, and then the next 2 are guests or special presentations, and then the 4th is committees, and if we get a 5th, then it's like, enjoy your day off.
Yeah, so, you know, just look at that and look at how, you know, have you asked your club lately how they feel about when they meet, where they meet, and how often? Might consider it. Maybe you're not meeting the right amount. So when I was talking about the websites, I want to just make sure I get this in. Oh, right here. I put it right here so I could find it. I print out my region roster and I bind that puppy. And that's because I'm always in it. I want to know what the deadline is for this, that, or the other thing. I want to know who I call if I am having problems and I need to speak to the treasurer or my district director. All their information is in here and so much more. If you have a question, this roster, which you get from SNR.org, this roster will tell you, it's the bones of everything we do. And it's right here, and it's updated regularly. This is already the new one, 24-26. And so every biennium, they're redone to reflect the newer club presidents. So if you're having an event, say a fundraiser, and you'd like to get everybody in your region invited to that fundraiser, all those addresses are right in here. So, you know, this is something you're gonna have at your, I've got 2 of them. I got one in my car, I got one in my office, ready to go. And I save the old ones because then if there's a member or a friend you wanna hunt up and they're not on the board this year, you can still find them. So it's very cool. The code, this is password protected, because this is not public information, all of our addresses and phone numbers. So it's 1921. Who can tell me what that is? Okay, who said it first? I think right here in the middle.
So everybody was talking at one time, can you
It
say
was
what
kinda
was?
hard.
What was the answer?
1921, and that's when we were founded. So it should be easy to find. So that's some thank you notes. One of the most important supplies you have is thank you notes. Get them out.
So I just wanna understand that, if we access the region roster, we can invite everybody to our fundraiser?
You sure can. You sure can, and there's emails in there too.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also you can put them in the SNRE blast.
Yes.
You are welcome to submit all your club happenings.
And, Deb Howard, new first-time attendee, president for South Lake Tahoe, Soroptimist International South Lake Tahoe. Just wanted to let everyone know, Denim Day is April 30th, 2025. If you have that, put that on your calendar, your club calendar. But I wanted to ask, so there's the opt-in option for, and I thank you, the lady here that asked the question, opt-in for emails. Are you saying that everyone here or on the roster has opted in so we can send emails to them? Sorry I asked. Okay.
If it's official Soroptimist business, yes.
Which is a fundraiser.
You are not allowed, I'm a realtor, I am not allowed to send an invitation to all our members or all my club members or any members about business, okay? Because it's for our club. Is that the question you really had?
I think she wanted to know if, I'm recording the session, by the way, because we're going to put that on our YouTube channel. It's the leadership you find in there. So every club's president and every club's treasurer is on there, not all members. It would take you a long time. But every club's on there. And the Dream a Beer chair, and then if you Dream a chair, also on there. So those are accessible. Not all of us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And if you haven't covered that in your club, you might cover it in your club. Listen, we don't give this out to anybody. Because a lot of people would love to have your club list. And, someone joins and they have to make their friends business one by one. We can't have people receiving a bunch of stuff that they don't want. So in your business meetings, we'll talk about business meetings because the other meetings are just guests. And so you'll welcome everybody and you'll do your thing with them, but there's no real business. So there's not a lot of Robert's Rules of Order required to do that. But when you're having a business meeting, you want to communicate things. Like we have the 4 chairs, and most of the clubs, those chairs, those committees have a lot of autonomy on how they spend their money. However, when you're wanting to do something new or something big or something really expensive, think about getting to your president and asking her to put you on the agenda for a vote. The members don't want to be bothered with every Tom, Dick, every little thing. You have to buy more notebooks for this or whatever it happens to be, but they are interested in money and where money goes. And so always as a chair, think about that. And that's why all the chairs are on every business meeting agenda. Even if they stand up and say, I have nothing to report. They should also be talking about when they meet, when their meetings are, what they've been doing. Because the model we had before was everybody vote for everything, right? If we were gonna drop a dime, even if it was on the budget, the club I used to belong to would have a vote. Well, that's really too hard to handle. And so we've gone to a model where we're budgeting usually by committee, and your committee has a budget. And this year, we've even updated further to take the program, the spending of the money, and stick it all in one big batch. So instead of having 20 line items in there and the exact amount that committee can spend on them, they just have a big chunk of money, and the club has told them the things that are important to them. Which kind of go ahead.
That's okay, finish your sentence.
No, I'm starting in on something else, so go ahead.
I've only belonged to this club for a few years, and now I'm the president, and I don't know what to do, so that's why I'm here. But our business meetings are usually the officers meet. And then the regular meeting is all the members. So you're saying it's the other way around?
No, what I'm saying is, okay, does your board meet anytime other than?
They meet, I'm confused, never mind.
Okay, because usually what happens is it goes from the committee to the board, you discuss it at the board meeting, they make recommendations, you bring that to the business meeting, the business meeting has all the people.
You're right.
Everybody gets to vote.
That's how we do it.
So what would you list as your 4 committee chairs? What are you listing as the 4 committee chairs?
Well, the same ones that everybody,
Service.
fundraising, program, membership. Give me the fourth.
Public awareness.
Public awareness, thank you. So those are should have chairs, either elected as part of your board or however it is that you choose to do it. Generally, they're elected.
We just have more than that, so I wanna know what you thought was the 4 basic.
Yeah, that's the 4
Fundraising
basics.
program,
And they would
member-
always be on your agenda.
Okay.
But other committees, like our fundraising committee is just now getting active for November. So now we're getting updates from them. So they're gonna be on every agenda. Yeah, there's little subcommittees, maybe they have something to say. You know, part of your job of doing the business meeting is to get around to everybody and find out what they need to talk about.
Can you name those 4 again, please?
Okay, fundraising, program, membership, and public awareness. The pillars. Yeah, I'm a pillar, which was weird. I thought I was a person. But I'm a pillar from SIA. So I'm actually an intermediary between SIA, so really I am way higher than you think. And, you know, coming here to the region to communicate about fundraising and to do fundraising for SIA. But everything has a mirror in our club. You know, your club has these 4 pillars, your region has it, SIA has it. This is how we organize ourselves, and it really organizes out pretty nicely. You know, sometimes the 2 committees might want to talk to each other and share some money. I was having this thought the other day, public awareness is so important. You can get these big banners across our main street of our downtown area in Auburn. And I was thinking, well, I know they only have like a few $100s in the public awareness budget, but you know, fundraising, if they do one too, that's another banner that goes up for another month. And then if program decides that we want to do a banner, you see how you know, you all work together on things, but those are the main things. So we administer when we're giving our business meetings. We usually checks are being written, forms are being filled out to get that money and all this kind of thing. And then to decide things, to have votes. So, you know, if your committee has something they want voted on, it's gonna come from the committee. She's gonna have a motion. You as the president are gonna run through the voting. You're also gonna handle the comments. So of course, if your program committee comes forward and says, we wanna know what you think about spending $1,000 on popsicles for the school children, you know, then Karen might stand up and say, okay, does anyone want to discuss this? Now, if she has a lot of people, she's gonna go back and forth, just like we do here at Region. There's first person's for it. Hey, we love popsicles, this is gonna be great for us. So then look for someone who's opposed. You know, is there anyone opposed who'd like to speak to this? So you can kind of go back and forth. Sometimes everybody's for it, in which case, hey, big deal, let's go towards get it decided, vote on it. And then once people vote, you as the president, tell them what they decided. Because it's interesting how sometimes you leave a meeting and you're not really sure what was decided, right? So it really helps if the president says, you have voted to spend $1,100 on popsicles. And so-and-so is going to do it, buy the popsicles. You're just kind of, you know, just checking in, making sure that something that gets voted on actually happens. And then the next month, if there's no popsicles, you might ask somebody about that. Hey, I thought you were buying popsicles, where are they? So that you can keep everything moving. So a successful meeting is one that there's some accomplishment. You know, you want your members to feel like they discussed something, they learned something, they decided something, I mean, it was valuable that they were there. Getting information about what's going on in the club, that's those reports we were talking about. Seeing their dear friends. I mean, don't you ever feel sometimes that our social hour ought to be 3 hours because we just can't stop talking to each other because we're so happy to see each other. So seeing friends, one of the #1 reasons people join Soroptimist. And then learning something new when we have speakers, where we have SIA news. You know, we'll be asked sometimes to vote for something through SIA, and those club votes are done electronically. So it's something that they're asking you all the way down at the club level what you think. Did you have a question? Okay. So be prepared. I like to see an agenda out the day before. And the reason I like to see an agenda out the day before is if there's someone who's been left out, that they can call you. This reminds them that they're giving a little report. If they didn't know, just go ahead and put their name on it, you know. Program, Ann Bryant. And get that out. Now that we have email, we can get everything out right away. And then the president would just politely ask if there's anything that someone needs to add to the agenda, please contact me. Because it's bad form for people to bring stuff up out of the blue at a business meeting, right? You know, it hasn't been vetted, it hasn't been looked at by the committee. It's not good form. And it causes, we just had a little situation where our committee got asked to do something that was kind of an emergency request. So, oh yeah, we started this text message thing. My phone dinged for a whole day. And once a certain amount of people had replied, we went ahead and did it, but some people didn't get to reply before they were told that it was gonna get done, and they were committee members too. And so you can see how stuff that's done too quickly, you know, really rethink. If someone asks you, it tells you they need something today, I would stop to think about that. Is that really true? You know, if we're being asked to sponsor an event in October, do we really have to tell them today? Or find out the deadlines for it? So just, you know, you're kind of like in between the public and the membership in guiding which things end up on your business meeting. And I wouldn't be afraid if your business meeting is super packed and you think it's gonna go longer than my golden time is 1 hour, other people are 1.5 hours, do what you do. But I think 1 hour is about all the butts can handle, you know, and the thought process, and especially in the evening, we're in the evenings. So the longer the meeting, of course, the later it gets. So on you go with that. Start, stop on time, whatever that on time is. If the members aren't all there, well, that's their thing. Dress for success, I'm just gonna leave that alone. And of course, greeting the members and, you know, checking in with them, make sure that, you know, verify your agenda. So did you have anything special you wanted voted on? You know, just talk to people. There's a code of conduct which you can find on the SNR website. If you are having trouble with people yakking during the meeting, interfering, interrupting, doing things that make it difficult, I suggest you get that code of conduct out and put it at your check-in table, okay? Because we don't need that kind of thing. We're professional women, or we're retired women who know things. So, you know, we don't want that. Keep these goals in mind throughout your meeting. Keep it light and fun. Gee, that is sometimes so difficult. So if you're not, like, I'm not like a super fun talker. So I like to have people around me who can come up with fun things to do. Like Karen knows about fun things to do, so she won't need anybody else, but some of us do, what can I say? Keep the conversation on topic. That is something that just drives me absolutely insane when we're talking about a program and all of a sudden we're over here in Live Your Dream No. You know, you just kindly say, we're gonna be discussing that later today, or our agenda is really tight today, so we need to stay on topic. And I'll talk to you about putting that in the next meeting, or we're gonna refer that to committee. That's a favorite of mine, refer it to committee, because that's the way it ought to be, right? Someone walks in and they go, I want a sponsorship for my school's fundraiser. And they're just getting up there and saying it. Well, that should be vetted through the program committee. Is there some reason that fits our, yeah, thank you. If it fits in with what we do, or if it's not. And those sideways conversations can become destructive and unprofessional as people will lose tempers with each other. And of course, since we're all friends, that's the last thing we want. During the meeting, now, for me, it was my agenda. So my master agenda had everything that was decided on it. And then anyone who volunteered to do something, it's on there, okay? And so next month, when you go to do your next meeting, you say, oh, so-and-so was supposed to buy popsicles. Let's ask her for a report. You know, just ask her, just tell the members a little bit about what happened. But you have to keep track of who it was that was supposed to do it, because they may not. That's all I have to say about that. I would give them a due date on the action. You know, we need this done this month. You know, we want a proof of this new stationery by the next board meeting, whatever it happens to be. Did I see a question in the back?
We do, our secretary has all the stuff in the minutes that was agreed to at the business meeting.
And that is her job.
Right, so I'm wondering if she does it, and I should put it on the agenda anyway? That it's-
You are taking notes because those minutes may or may not be complete.
Oh, our secretary's complete. Trust me on that.
Also, it's my notes to myself to do things in the future.
To put them on the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like if the program committee announces that they're having a meeting, I'm gonna write that on my agenda so I know. And also it could go in the next e-blast. You know, we're kind of, you're there kind of just supervising things, keeping your little hand in here and there, just to make it all run really smoothly. And it says here, and it's really true, you need an agreement about what constitutes completion. So when you're talking about giving someone a job, you know, we're gonna need 1,100 popsicles. We're going to need them on this date. You know, whatever it happens to be. So that job is complete when the popsicles have been passed out. So, you know, I want some pictures or whatever it happens to be. Now we're gonna talk about Robert's Rules of Order only a teensy bit because I am not a parliamentarian. Right now, Evie, who is our region treasurer, has both this Robert's Rules of Order in brief. This is an easy to use one, or even easier. We've got this one, which is the quick study. So, ooh, gosh, how could that have been 45 minutes already? It's just terrible. We've got about 20 minutes left. So, stop. One more thing, praise in public, criticize in private. Okay, so if you don't have one or both of these, I think it's $8, it's $7, they're very inexpensive. Get one for yourself, get one maybe for someone else that is gonna be president next year, that'd be great. So tell me about what's going on that you wanna talk about. The region treasurer has a booth over in the shopping area.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Evie is her name.
Evie,
And she's got several of both of these. She always stocks up for me so that people can go and buy them. I even have extras, I give them out to people, especially if they screw up, so if I give you one. Okay, next. Okay,
You mentioned standing rules. Can you give some examples of what those might be and how they differ from?
might be where you meet, it might be just details of how you handle certain things.
So they're more temporary?
Yes, that's the whole idea. They're more temporary, they're easier to change. Although I see a lot of modern clubs don't have any. So that's up to you, but, you know, there's some discussions of that in all of our literature, so.
Is that different?
That was a great question, by the way. Here, write some notes.
Are these standing rules different than policies and procedures, or is that?
It's about the same.
So on a business meeting, do you have like a reference, I guess, just as, like, I'm a 5-year president, I just know what we've been doing, I don't know if it's right or wrong. Is there like a quick, tip sheet or something, do you guys have?
That's what these are.
The what?
Okay, these Robert's Rules of Orders have a lot to do with how
Well, it has
you
a
put
lot to
things
do with
together.
running a meeting, but like, I'm just saying, like, what a Soroptimist business meeting should look like. Like, here's like a model of what it should look like. Because I think we have an old club, we're, 1929 is when we got established. So I think there's been all
That's
this
cool.
stuff, but then I come in and I'm like, I don't know, are we doing it right? Or we've gotten out of habit of stuff? And so just be nice for when I leave as president, you set the baton for that.
I don't think we have any standard thing.
There is
Did
one.
you get a
SIA.
notebook?
That's why,
Where is it?
SIA has, sorry, I should shut my mouth. There's one on SIA's website that has a basic thing, and you can literally print it out and do it in a PDF and then fill your club in it. It literally
And
has.
what section is that in?
Ha, you kidding, right?
That's why I.
Okay, you guys know that I hate that website, but there is stuff there. I just came across it today. So go on to clubs, and then under clubs, keep searching. You will find that there's one category that's for treasurers and one for club presidents, and it is there. Please
Good.
stick around. I will look for it and email it to you if you want me to.
Aww.
Because I know where it is. I shouldn't be
Isn't that
talking.
Okay.
thank you, Babette.
Well, I was just gonna say that code of conduct, while we're on the subject of, is that a pretty easy location on the website, find it, type it in?
Nothing is easy.
Nothing is easy.
So,
And I
It
would
will
be
be.
happy to exchange we're an older club too, and not nearly as storied as your club, but, we'd be happy to share our agendas maybe, and maybe we could.
yeah, so let's chat with each other a little bit before you leave and get some names.
So kind of a weird question, but we had an event last year and it didn't go well, and should a
Oh,
president?
no.
Yes, yes, sadly. Should a president, how eloquently can a president intervene to hopefully prevent a train crash that you know is coming, but yet not hurt someone or offend someone? Is there a way that is recommended or?
Privately.
Well, obviously privately, but I mean,
Privately.
can a president basically pull rank and say,
Yes.
no, we're not gonna do this is what we're gonna do?
And this is why.
Right, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you don't wanna burn bridges, you know, thank you.
If I recall correctly, at the beginning of your presentation, I think you, as I understood, you mentioned that there may be some ideas that you have for helping people feel comfortable about becoming president the next year. So we have a couple people who are in line, first vice president, second vice president,
Wow,
President-Elect,
nice.
and second.
Yeah.
However, they are not interested in being president. So we're trying to.
How did that happen?
Well, we couldn't, it happened to us.
Just be honest,
and we
this happens
couldn't
to
get,
others.
yeah, and we couldn't get, you know, when we were going through the nominating process for our first VP and second VP, we had to like pull teeth. And so, they've been honest about not wanting to be president, and, I mean, we think they'll do a good job, and maybe part of it is just the fear of not knowing what's expected. But do you have any tips for how we can try to encourage them to continue, or
Well,
does
one
anybody?
thing that I think is important is if you take whichever one is most likely to do it, or take both of them.
Yeah.
In your confidence, make sure they have copies of everything. Make a notebook with all your agendas and your minutes in it. Put your club number, your nonprofit letter, all the stuff that should not be lost in there, and go through it with them as you're doing it. So this is how we do our agenda, and guess what? I'm gonna leave you one full year of agenda so that you can just take this agenda and just modify it. And, you know, the thing I was talking about is sometimes we have problems in our club that we have to intervene on. And the one thing I wanna tell you is if your meeting starts going awesomely wrong, something is just wrong, have a drunk person.
Do a what?
You have a drunk person who's talking. You got two members that are starting to get into it. This is extreme, but you can call a quick break. I'd like to take a quick break from this meeting, and would Cheryl and Joyce join me in the other room? Okay? So you're gonna stop it before it really gets awful. And you're gonna stop that, you're gonna go chat with those people. And if they're not kind enough to re-enter your meeting, you could discuss with them whether they feel that maybe they should go home and come back next week.
It sounds like being president is kind of like being a supervisor. I used to manage at work.
Same old,
and same
same
as
old.
supervisor.
Only they're all volunteers.
They're all volunteers, which makes it more
Sweet.
difficult.
I was gonna add that when you, in our club, when you rotate out as president, for the next year, you're the director.
Correct.
And you're there as a support person and assistant to the president.
Yeah, we have a
Any
media
questions,
president.
you know, comments, words of wisdom that you can offer them.
Yeah.
That has worked fabulous.
So you're pledging your future support,
Yes.
and I was just talking about trying to get them schooled up so that they would be ready.
So this is kind of a generic question, but we're a newer club, we're only 18 months old. Sparks.
Oh, there's
Sparks.
You have
Congratulations.
Yes.
So we've done some really good things that we're very proud of. But my question is, how do you maintain harmony with a group of really strong-minded women?
You
can
find
the answer
to that.
That's
the only type of women we want here.
And so, what I find myself doing constantly is putting out fires, which just drains all my creative energy.
You know, that is so interesting, because I wouldn't think just right off the bat you'd have this kind of problem. But if it happens, perhaps we haven't committeeized enough. Okay, this one doesn't get along with this one's gonna be on the program, and this one's gonna be on public awareness. Right, so one of them's gonna be in charge of one thing, and one in the other.
What do you do with the member that kind of overflows? And it's a member who's, and it's not just one member, but it's a member who's dynamic and can get a lot done and, you know, provide, and it has success in her background, and yet it's chaos.
Well, don't act like it's just her, you know, just say, you know, we're talking about our fundraiser here today. And you're so valuable to us, we wanna hear everything you wanna say. But if you could just keep the other comments till a later time, so that we can stay where we are, that's non-personal. You're not telling her she's a bad person, you're just trying to help.
Along the same lines, not in a meeting, but we have some committees where there are people in the committee who want to be on the committee, and there are
personality conflicts within the committee and they won't leave the committee, I mean, can you just say, you can't be on this committee? I mean, booting people off of committees, how do you do that?
You know, I try not to get to the extreme point. Maybe talk to the committee chair and see if she can separate it out. Or try to teach them how to appreciate each other more, because sometimes, especially our longtime members, our experienced members, sometimes they do seem to drive you nuts. I am one, so I know. And, you know, just sit down for a minute and think to yourself all the wonderful things that that person has done for your club in the past, and how it is that you can get her in just the right position where she feels important and empowered.
That was gonna be my point, is recognizing the uniqueness in each member, is even the ones who are doing this person probably has a strength that this person may not. As president, to really recognize and get to know the members and say, geez, I see where you really shine in this and you really shine on this. Can you take the lead on this? And then that person now has their sense of importance and hopefully some focus that's my lead. And even on the same committees, you can subdivide within your committees to be like, you handle this part, like fundraising, you know, you handle our swag and you handle this, and it's just to
That's a great
try
idea.
to keep them in harmony. And then we also had the same thing this year with our president, President-Elect and vice president. We didn't have anybody step up for vice president who wanted to step into that role. So we have somebody who graciously signed up as vice president, but she has a lot of personal family things that she just doesn't want to commit to that. So we recognize that, and this coming year, we hope to cultivate somebody to step into vice president and president-elect that, you know, have more longer goals. So sometimes you don't have a solution, and people's lives are what they are too, so, sorry.
I appreciate you.
Just to address the conflict, is it 4 times a year we have membership mixers, which takes the place of our meeting, where you're doing like, could be a getting to know you, a game, or a project. And if you're side by side, we planted succulents for a senior care home in the area, and just side by side planting plants is a lot different, and the conversation's different, and the appreciation of our club mates obviously is different, or a getting to know you activity. But 4 times a year we do, some of them are new member mixers, but others are just, you know, membership mixers where you can bring a friend and participate. There's gonna be a self-care one, but if we see each other in a different light, not just as committee members side by side and trying to vie for some little power, then maybe that could enhance the club.
And sometimes you just kind of have to acknowledge that people feel differently about things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is our purpose for our club. And if it doesn't have anything to do, women, girls, education, I'm like, I don't care. No, it's just not what we do. That's not what our work money is to be spent on, and I feel that really strongly. Well, then this person over here recognizes that there are parts of our community that need a little help. The seniors, we could have made them so happy, and we did for $1 a piece, you know? That's getting out in the public and doing something, buying fireworks, weird stuff like that, stuff I would never do. But those other people have another way of looking at it that's more holistic than mine, and also valid.
How our club got with people of getting, like, that were in the board seats or even chairs for a number of years, and they kind of gatekeep. That's a problem that happens in the club. What we did was we basically said, if you haven't chaired, or you haven't been a part of this committee, you need to join this committee, and kind of move away or alternate what committees you're chairing and what you're involved with. And the same with the board. We just had a recent board member that had been serving for a number of years. She's an amazing woman, but she had been on it for a considerable amount of time. We have a new member that's now taking her place. it was a little bit of a struggle, but we just opened it up as, hey, they haven't served, this is how we're gonna get new leadership in, is by saying that we need to have fresh blood in.
Yeah, and you can acknowledge their amazing things they've done, and you know, when they don't have to go to the board meeting for the first time in 10 years, they're gonna be thrilled. I promise you, I know.
Just a comment about conflict resolution, isn't there a breakout session that can probably, will all be?
There probably
Yeah,
is a
okay.
breakout session for that.
It's civility or something.
Well, civility, yeah.
Yeah.
But I find the presidents have a different way, like, we have a different job, so we have a different way of looking at conflict. So I have room for one question. So raise your hand if it's an important, wonderful question.
So when the officers were installed in our club, I was in the hospital. So, I'm back now, and this is my first meeting coming up. And there's an issue on the agenda that was carried over from, I guess, the last meeting, that I know is gonna cause sparks. So, what I did, I put it on the agenda, and we're gonna flip chart pros and cons. And
Yeah,
if
they're a
we
great
can't,
way.
if we can't come to consensus, well, that's what I'm asking, is that okay to do that?
Absolutely, I think that's brilliant. And then have them vote, because trust me, one side's gonna win.
Yeah.
But after they look at all the wonderful points you have brought up, right, maybe they'll think differently about it. Maybe everyone will end up being in one camp. No guarantees. But remember that having a pro and a con.
Right.
So, you know, if it starts getting one way, then just start asking for the opposite.
Well, I do
Until
ask
it-
for the different ones.
Yeah.
They don't just get the rate.
You're brilliant. Well, unfortunately, I cannot go over. I cannot go over because there's a lot of really wonderful things for you to learn.
Thank you, Carl.
One of the classes that is going to be given is about taking care of your donors and fundraising. I guarantee you that is a fabulous, fabulous thing to see. And if you can't do it, see if one of your other club members can go. Try to go to different classes so that you can get together and share the information, because they're all good. I'm looking forward to going to some myself. I always enjoy it. So thank you. You guys have been wonderful.